One of the dimensions of emotional intelligence is almost the attitude that we hold about ourselves, and therefore the attitude that we hold about others. And what underpins that attitude is our own self-belief or self-esteem or self-regard. So when we think about that, that's an absolute prerequisite to effective leadership and therefore to emotional intelligence. The question that I want to ask you is, how do you maintain your level of self-esteem and self-regard even in the most kind of volatile and challenging times?
I focus on what I can make a difference to, and I worry less about what I can't affect. So I think I think you would lose. I mean, you would perhaps run the risk of losing self-esteem or confidence if you felt that everything that in front of you was possible, and you fell short. I think that would undermine your self-belief. But actually, I think if you really focus on what it is that you can make a difference to, and that's what I tend to think about, is how do I improve situations, or what can I change, what can I affect, and worry less about what is out of my control.
And how do you make the decision on what you can control and what you can't?
I think it's really important to set out your, if you like, your objectives, personal objectives for both yourself and the business that you're leading, and then that's always, that's a reference point that you can constantly go back to if there's, if it proves tricky.
When self-doubt has arisen during your career, what did you do to overcome that? So how did you maintain? So it's a similar question to the one that I've asked you in terms of focusing on what your vision was, but can you think of a time that specifically you did question actually what you were doing?
I actually can't, and honestly I can't. That's not to say that I'm supremely arrogant or anything like that, but I don't remember. Maybe I've been very, very fortunate, but I've had lots of challenges in my career, and bumps in the road and things that have needed sorting out, some highly stressful situations, etc. But I don't think I've ever equated those to a lack of self-belief or self-doubt.
What would you have equated them to?
Well, again, it's around what can you affect and what can't you. So I've been involved in closing down businesses that I've been very instrumental in building up. So really, sad, emotional, events. But I don't relate that, for example, to any personal failing and therefore doubting myself. Or, and we've had, I've been through sort of legal reviews, which have been extremely stressful, and, governance type, reviews, all of which of course were fine, but at the time very stressful. Again, I didn't feel that was a reflection on my, failure in any sense. It was just, one of these things that one had to go through. So, I feel I'm confident. I don't feel I'm arrogant, but I don't feel that I've ever really sort of beaten myself and worried about failing or not achieving what I needed to do.
And it's interesting because actually, again, if you look at it from the context of EI, the attitudes that we hold about ourselves are really important, and therefore that attitude that we hold about others, and you mentioned the word, you're not arrogant, actually that ability to connect with people just as they are and as you are is a very important part.
I think so, and I think arrogance is a really unattractive trait, and I think you'd be called up, if I was, I'd be called up on it. I would trust my colleagues to say.
And it would probably limit your potential. So if you
I think so, and I try. I think one has to be very. It's important to be modest and and put others, champion others, and I feel that's very much my role as a leader is to push others and and celebrate their successes. But it's interesting. Almost your question presupposes that you have self-doubt at times in your career, and I can't honestly think of any occasions when I have really.